Jim Rowan, how you going? We're finally at the end of 2008. The champions going into the final section of the year. The junior heavyweight champion for New Japan, Low Ki, has been the champion since the 21st of September. The junior tag champions are now No Limit. They defeated Minoru and Prince Devitt on the 13th of October. The heavyweight tag champions have been the same all year, Togi Makabe and Toru Yano. The heavyweight champion is Keiji Muto, who is also, granted by a different name of Great Muto, the Triple Crown champion for All Japan. There's also Yuji Nagata, is the 0-1 champion, and to round out the big promotions champions around Japan, Noah has Kensuke Sasaki as their GHC heavyweight champion. But on the tournament front for New Japan, the New Japan Cup was won by Tanahashi earlier in the year. Best of Super Juniors was Wataru Inoue, and the G1 Climax ended with Goto on top. And now it's time for the final major tournament that New Japan runs, the Tag Champions. So it's the G1 Tag League is what they call it at the moment. The Tag Championship Cup. So in Block A of this tournament, we had Giant Bernard and Rick Fuller, Hiroki Goto and Shinsuke Nakamura, Satoshi Kojima and Hiroyoshi Tenzan, Taichi Ishikari and Milano Collection AT, formerly rivals, now partners, Takashi Iizuka and Tomohiro Ishii, and Wataru Inoue and Koji Kanemoto, the two non-junior heavyweights. And then we've got just, what is that, three? No, just Giant Bernard, Rick Fuller, and Takashi Iizuka, Tomohiro Ishii are the two GBH guys. Okay. Also GBH in Block B, Gato and Jado. Then there's Manabu Nakanishi and Yutaka Yoshi, the Big Mountains, I think they're called. Mitsuhide Hirasawa and Yuji Nagata, Nego Casas and Rocky Romero, Tetsuya Naito and Yujiro, which is the junior tag champs known as No Limit, and Togi Makabe and Toru Yano, the heavyweight tag champs known as MVP, Most Violent Players. They are your G1 Tag League blocks. The first event took place on the 18th of October 2008 in Saitama, and after some opening matches, the first was a Block B match. Gato and Jado defeated No Limit and MVP. So already Gato and Jado have earned themselves a championship match there, just straight off the bat. Also in Block B, MVP defeated Segigun, Hirasawa and Nagata. So Segigun, I think at the moment just refers to these two, but that's going to become a faction eventually, led by Nagata, into next year. In the A block, Iron Hades, I think that's what it is. Is that how you spell Hades, the dude that doesn't like Hercules? Hades. Rather than, well, that's what comes up when I search Hades. So I assume that's what it is. Iron Hades, Takashi Iizuka and Tomohiro Ishii defeat Tenkoji. Oh no, off to a bad start. The baby faces of the year. Tenzan, the turn at the beginning of the year, and Kojima coming back to save him, and not only do they lose their first match, but they lose to GBH guys. to like the mid-card GBH guys. Well, Izuka's been main eventing, actually, in fairness, against Tenzan. So that's a tough one to follow. Or to swallow, rather. And then also in Block A, Goto and Nakamura get a win over Kanemoto and Inoue. We move to so that was 18th. We move to the 22nd. Kanemoto and Inoue get a win over Izuka and Ishii. That was by DQ though, so that could have been Izuka's fault. The Detonators in Block A, which is Giant Bernard and Rick Fuller, they defeated Unione, which is Milano and Taichi. Gedo and Jado go to 4 points to defeat when they defeated Segigun, Hirasawa Nagata. And I was right, they are called Big Mountains. Block B, Nakanishi and Yoshi, they defeated Caribbean Syndicate, Negro Casas, and Rocky Romero. The next night, 23rd, Nagasaki. No Limit pick up their first win. They defeat Segigun as well. MVP go to 4 points. They defeated Caribbean Syndicate. Goto and Nakamura. They're actually called Rise NXG, as in Nakamura and Goto. But that's a crap name, so I'll just call them Goto and Nakamura. Went to 4 points, defeating Unione, Milano and Taichi. And Tenkoji, no, that was the main event, but it wasn't a block match, never mind about it. Also on the 23rd of October, though, just because TNA do, whether you think this is a good thing or not, continue to play a part in New Japan moving ahead, especially with the big January event coming up. Jeremy Borash hosted a segment featuring Kevin Nash, Booker T, Kurt Angle and Sting, wherein Angle announced that the four had joined together to form a group of legends called the Main Event Mafia. The goal of the group was to start a war against the younger talent to take what they deserved, respect. Team 3D were offered a spot in the group, seemingly accepting before attacking them and turning face. The following week they added Scott Steiner to the Main Event Mafia as he made his return from injury and attacked Joe Styles and their allies. Steiner notably spared using his pipe on his protege, P.D. Williams, who backed off as soon as he saw him. So Steiner's still got a soft spot for P.D. Williams, but has otherwise gone full heel with the Main Event Mafia. Another quick note from a different show. Masahiro Chono's Pro Wrestling Expo promotion had a just disaster of a weekend. They had 3 events at Sumo Hall, back to back, and his idea was to do an international tag team tournament, kind of like a World Cup idea, but he never really had any big names and just never really got off the ground. They did like 500, 600 fans for the events. I know he had like Don Fry, and like he had a couple of big MMA names, but anyway, there were big MMA names years ago. You know, Don Fry's a little past his prime in 2008. Let's go back to the G1 Tag League. On the 24th, No Limit picked up some points against Negro Casas and Rocky Romero. They go to 4 points in Block B. Gato and Jado, gee, they're doing well. 6 points. They beat Big Mountains. And what a couple big mountains they are to climb when you're the size of Gato and Jado. Impressed. The Detonators go to 3 points when their match with Hiroki Goto and Nakamura ends in a double countout. And that sends the latter to 5 points with that 1 point each draw. And also in Block A, Tenkoji finally pick up some points over Kanemoto and Inoue. So they're both on 2 points there. On the 25th, Block A, Unione pick up their first points, but it's only because Izuka and Ishii got disqualified. In Block B, MVP defeat No Limit in a champion versus champion match. Big Mountains defeated Sekigun in a time... Oh, sorry, no. That's a time limit draw. Nakanishi and Yoshi go into the time limit with Hirasawa and Nagata, which, let's face it, that's like Nagata and his pinning machine, as in all he does is get pinned, Hirasawa. So that's a big effort from Nagata, 30 minutes of saving Hirasawa. Tenkoji won in the main event against the Detonators, Giant Bernard and Rick Fuller. The next night again, on the 26th, WK2 is what they're known as, Kanemoto and Inoue. They defeat Unione, Milano and Taichi. Seigigun, never mind, that's not a group match. Block B, Goto and Nakamura defeat Iizuka and Ishii, and MVP defeated Gato and Jado. That's the first loss Gato and Jado have taken. And it took the heavyweight tag team champions to do it. On the 29th in Shizuoka, Caribbean Syndicate picked up their first points, defeating Seigigun, who have become the Whipping Boys. Poor Nagata, they're only on 1 point from that draw. The Detonators go to 5 points, defeating Iron Hades, Iizuka and Ishii. Again by DQ. Izuka's throwing this one out. I'm assuming it's Iizuka. I mean, Ishii's no saint either, but Izuka's just a nutcase. Big Mountains go to 5 points, beating No Limit, who are only on 4 points now. Tenkoji pick up a win over Unione, so Tenkoji runs 6 points there toward the top of the block. A quick diversion once again. There was a unique event, a sellout of about 2,000 fans in Kanagawa. It was called New Japan's Camp Zama Slam Fest 2, and it's basically a show for the US military members and their families, with a lot of children present. So Prince Devitt defeated Naito on that show. You had a GBH team defeating Goto, Okada, and Yujiro. Bit of a thrown together one. Rocky Romero pulled out his old Black Tiger gimmick. He's still teamed with Negro Casas, but they lost to Liger and Tiger Mask. That was said to be a hit with the kids, all the masks. But the main event saw Giant Bernard, Rick Fuller, and Carl Anderson defeating Milano Collection, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Taichi Ishikari, with Bernard, Fuller, and Anderson, the big-time babyfaces, getting lots of USA chants. Bernard, in particular, the star of the show, and he pinned Taichi. And it was said to be a big success as a show, and they're planning on doing some more military-based shows next year. While we're diverting... Oh, sorry, I didn't mention. We're into November. That was on the 1st of November. This is on the 3rd of November. The last big major show for All Japan Pro Wrestling Love and Ryogoku Volume 6, of course in Sumo Hall. They announced nearly 10,000 in attendance. The Wrestling Observer reported 7,000 being the real number, but still a good attendance, I would say, when there's a lot of companies struggling at the moment. So the major matches were Hiroyoshi Tenzan and No Limit, so Tetsuya Naito and Yujiro. The New Japan team defeated the All Japan team of F4, which included Hiroshi Yamato. Damn it! Oh, Yamato. Hiroshi Yamato. I'm. If that's the last time I get to say this guy's name. Yamato, Kai, and Satoshi Kojima. Kind of, I think those guys are... Well, I know Kai's a young fellow, and I guess Yamato must be as well. The idea, I think, behind this one is the young guys getting a bit of a rub, being in a high-profile match here. But it was... I mean, it went 18 minutes, decent match, and Naito pinned Yamato. Take that for having your confusing name. The Junior Heavyweight Championship was on the line, All Japan's, held by Marufuji. He was challenged by Shuji Kondo. They went nearly 40 minutes. So it ended with a super kick and a pole shift by Marufuji. He's finished the fisherman suplex pole driver. Said to be a strong match. And then after the match, all of the company junior heavyweights, because of course, remember, Marufuji's a Noah guy. So he's an outsider. And all the All Japan guys, Kaz Hayashi, Mazada, Nasawa, Kai, Yamato, Hijikata, Seiya Sanada is included in these, by the way, a junior heavyweight at this time, and Manabu Soya. They all came to the ring to challenge Marufuji. All of them want to take the title back and bring it back to All Japan. But Marufuji had his choice of all those fellas, I suppose, and he accepted the challenge from Nosawa, who was not out of the question. Bit of a surprise. I don't think Nosawa was necessarily a top junior heavyweight. But anyway, now, Marufuji's got the whole division chasing him. The main event was Great Muta defending the Triple Crown title against Minoru Suzuki. They went just nearly 26 minutes. Muta came out in a new Chinese-themed mask. There was a lot of brawling outside the ring with both using belt shots and chair shots. Suzuki was bleeding heavily. Muta did a moonsault, although he missed. And then on his... so he sells the knees because his knees are kind of bad. So when he misses the moonsault on a big show, he'll do this. He'll land on his knees and sell that his knees really hurt, which they definitely already do, for real. But the finish was Suzuki getting Muta in a choke, but then Muta managed to turn his head and blow the green mist in his face, which led to a Shining Wizard finish. So Muta retains the Triple Crown. Yoshihiro Takayama comes to the ring to make his challenge. So a big name Takayama, but a beaten down body at this point. So not sure how much of a match those two can have, despite it being high profile. Especially because if Takayama wins the Triple Crown, he'll become the first man in history to have won the Triple Crown, the IWGP, the NWF title, the GHC heavyweight title, as well as all the world tag team titles across New Japan, All Japan, and Noah. So he's certainly got the credentials for a shot, just maybe not the gas in the tank that he once had. But I think that's about it for all... No. We'll come back to All Japan, sorry. I was just going to mention, though, in case that was the last time we did talk about All Japan, was that they debut in Taiwan on the 16th of November. So I don't know if that had anything to do with Muta's, Chinese-themed mask. I know Taiwan and China are different, or that's a whole political thing. But I don't know. This was taken from a Wrestling Observer newsletter report, so I don't know exactly what Chinese-themed mask was. Maybe it was just Chinese writing on it, in which case perhaps he meant it to be Taiwanese writing. Anyway, because they speak the same language. I'm pretty sure they speak the same language. I could be showing my ignorance here. I guess it would be, with that many people, it would be kind of surprising that the different regions would all speak the exact same language. Because like India has 1 million languages, and all those Middle Eastern countries have all these different languages. Does Russia? Well, I guess Russia's bigger. Do they do? No, I think they all speak just Russian, right? I don't know. Really unnecessarily illustrating my ignorance. Okay. Let's get back to New Japan and this G1 Tag League on the 4th of November. I think these are block matches. I didn't note them as such, though. There was a time limit. Oh, no, that can't have been a block match. Okay, no, never mind me. I think there's just matches happening on the undercard that for some reason could be happening as block matches, but they, just want to make the cards longer. Anyway, Block B, Caribbean Syndicate defeat Gato and Jado. Oh, So they had all the steam up front, and now they're losing on the back end, Gato and Jado. So they're still on 6 points. The Detonators pick up another win. They go to 7 points over Kanemoto and Inoue. And Big Mountains go to 7 points as well over MVP. Wow, they earn themselves a title shot, I guess. Nakanishi and Yoshi. Nice one. But they're still a point behind MVP, who are on 8 points. The main event on this show was Tenkoji defeating Goto and Nakamura. Tenzan making Goto submit to the Anaconda Vice. So they're on 8 points now. Nakamura Goto on 7 points. Something I didn't mention. I didn't know if they said this before the tournament started or just now when they realized that they topped the group or the block. But Tenzan and Kojima reportedly said if they don't win the tournament, they'll never team up again. So they're rising the stakes on themselves. Now, this is going into the finals, so Kojima and Tenzan are on top of Block A with 7 points. Goto Nakamura and Bernard and Fuller are both on 7 points each. On head-to-head, Goto and Nakamura, when did they beat them? I'm going to trust that I noted this correctly. Because I don't want to go back too far and get lost. But it appears that Nakamura and Goto must have defeated Bernard and Fuller. Makabe and Yano top block B. They're on 8 points as well. Nakanishi and Yoshi on 7 points. Gato and Jado finished third on 6 points. So that goes into the finals, the semi-finals and the final on the 5th of November for the G1 Tag League. They drew a sellout in Tokyo, Korakuen Hall, 1,900 fans. So the first semi-final was Goto and Nakamura versus the Detonators, Bernard and Fuller. Wait a second. Oh, okay. So maybe they didn't face each other. So this is to decide who goes into the semi-finals. That's strange. Or I guess maybe they don't do head-to-head in the tag version of the G1. But, okay, here you go. Goto and Nakamura won that match, so Bernard and Fuller are out, and will Nakamura and Goto have to have 3 matches if they make it to the final? That'd be pretty brutal. I guess they would have. Pretty big card, so we'll go through it. There was also Milano, Minoru, and Taichi. They defeated Liger, Okada, and Kanemoto before the semi-final. So Tenkoji, they went up against Big Mountains and won. Tenkoji earned their place in the G1 League final. The second semi-final happened straight after. MVP defeated Goto and Nakamura, who had just had a match already, so that'd have been tough, especially against the tag champions. So that sets up the final. It'll be Tenkoji versus Most Violent Players. But before that, we had Anderson, Iizuka, and Ishii defeating Seigi-Guns, Hirasawa, and Nagata, joined also by Inoue. Gato and Jado teamed up with Negro Casas and Rocky Romero to defeat No Limits, Naito and Yujiro, Ryusuke Taguchi, and Tiger Mask. And then finally that brings us to the G1 final. Tenkoji, the big rivalry of all year, really. I mean, it started with Tenzan being turned on by Makabe and Yano. They're the 2 top guys of the new GBH, the faction that Tenzan started. And then as he was fighting against GBH and starting to actually get some wins against them, even though it was, whatever it is, 8-on-1 or something, he starts getting this help from Iizuka, and then Iizuka turns on him, and he turns into a psycho, and then he's having these brutal brawls with Iizuka as well as fighting the rest of GBH, and it's become overwhelming. Kojima enters the scene, returning from injury, returning to New Japan, fights them all off. Tenkoji's reformed, and the second half of the year is kind of them together fighting their way back against GBH, who only go from strength to strength, really, with, more numbers. Giant Bernard, Rick Fuller join them from Rise. The junior heavyweight champion, Low Key, join them. They just keep getting bigger. It just keeps getting a bigger and bigger monster for Tenzan and Kojima to face. But here's their chance on the big stage, the G1 Tag League 2008 final, and Tenkoji pick up the win over the tag team champions. Tenzan making Yano submit to the Anaconda Vice. The feel-good ending to a long personal feud. Well, it's not even the ending, really, is it? It's not over yet, but it is certainly a big win for the good guys in this one. So that's the end of that one. That's kind of part of the best feud of the year of 2008, if we're to do some reflecting. But the Tanahashi, quick note, returns from tour with TNA on the 11th of November. He was there since the end of October. I didn't look up what matches he had. I'm sure he was not utilized as well as he should have been. Also on the 11th of November, just a quick note about a former IWGP heavyweight champion, Brock Lesnar became the UFC heavyweight champion. So he's the most successful pro wrestler to ever win a UFC championship, and the first man in history to win the NCAA title, a major pro wrestling world title, and the UFC title. So he's kind of gone, if you look at it in kayfabe, in kind of, the way Japan would look at it, NCAA title, so he's won a top amateur wrestling championship, and then he's gone to WWE in New Japan and won major world professional wrestling championships, and then he's gone to the UFC and put that professional wrestling into action against other styles of fighting and won a world martial arts championship. So that's pretty cool. I like that kind of stuff. Of course, in New Japan, liking that stuff really started to pose a problem for them, and they're getting away from that. But anyway, we just came off all the G1 Tag League for New Japan. Now, the G1 Tag League winners, Tenkoji, enter All Japan's version of the same tournament, the Real World Tag League. And I'll mention who else is in this one. That was Seiya Sanada and Manabu Soya. Actually, we'll skip straight to the end. We don't need to go through this tournament. They ended on 4 points. Hate and Taru, I'm assuming of Voodoo Murders, they ended on 4 points. That's where hate gets you. Kaz Hayashi and Osama Nishimura on 6 points. Ryota Hama and Keiji Muto on 6 points. Teo Kea and Minoru Suzuki, I think they're the tag champions at the moment. They ended on 8 points. Joe Doring and Zodiac on 8 points. And at the top here, both on 9 points, Satoshi Kojima and Hiroyoshi Tenzan and Shuji Kondo and Suwama. So the Real World Tag League final was Satoshi Kojima and Hiroshi Tenzan defeating Shuji Kondo and Suwama. So for the first time ever, the same team won the G1 Tag League and the Real World Tag League in the same year. And that's Tenkoji, just killing it across New Japan and All Japan. What a great way to finish the year for them. Well, the year's not over yet. We're at the end of November. The 22nd, we started a new tour, perhaps the last tour for New Japan. The main event, there was nothing. This is a pretty nothing show, to be honest. The main event was Goto, Nakamura, Tanahashi, and Naito. Wow. Didn't they team up? I think they teamed up last month as well. And I remember thinking, well, there's your future. Goto, Nakamura, Tanahashi, Naito. They defeated the GBH team of Gato, Iizuka, Makabe, and Yano. On the 23rd, the main event was Tanahashi, Nakanishi, Nagata defeating another GBH crew, Bernard, Anderson, and Makabe. The 24th was Tanahashi, Nakanishi, and Nagata defeating Bernard, Anderson, and Yano. The 25th was Tanahashi, Naito, Nagata, Yujiro defeating Gato, Jado, Makabe, Yano. The 27th, Tanahashi, Chono, Choshu, and Nagata defeating Makabe, Honma, Ishii, and Yano. That's a pretty strong GBH team for the old fellas to be contributing to a win in, but that's, yeah. I mean, they do that. They're kind of still booked pretty strong. Tanahashi on the 28th, Tanahashi, Naito, Yujiro defeated Gato, Jado, and Makabe. I'm not seeing any other interesting matches to go over here. And then the last match of November, Tanahashi, Goto, Nakamura, and Taguchi defeated Loki, Makabe, Honma, and Yano. Okay, we're into December. It's the same tour though. It's called, by the way, New Japan and Rise versus GBH. Tokushima Deadlock. I don't know what... Oh, okay, no, that's just named after wherever they are. The deadlock part. So they're in Tokushima. So that explains these main events. It does not make them any more interesting though, so I'm still going to kind of get through them here. Tanahashi, Nakanishi, and Nagata defeated Makabe, Ishii, and Yano. Actually, that might have been the last one. Because now we have a rather big event. On the 6th of December, New Japan Fight for Existence in Nagoya. Apparently 8,500 in attendance. Carl Anderson, Honma, and Ishii defeated Akira, Jushin Thunder Liger, and Tiger Mask. Milano and Taichi defeated Okada and Minoru. Gato, Jado, and Loki defeated Naito, Yujiro, and Taguchi. So it looks like they might be building up. I know there's a Loki. I know Taguchi's in line for a shot at Loki's championship. And of course, Gato and Jado got that win over Naito and Yujiro, the current junior heavyweight tag team champions. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're lined up for them. They are. That's coming up. Okay. Skipping ahead. Iizuka defeated Inoue. Goto and Nakamura defeated Chono and Riki Choshu. And then in the main event... Sorry, not the main event. No, there's two more. There's Tanaka and Otani of 0-1 defeated Kanemoto and Nagata. So, of course, that's the Tanaka and Nagata feud continuing. But we had a tag team title defense. Of course, if you recall... Big Mountains, Manabu Nakanishi and Yutaka Yoshi got a win over the most violent players in the G1 Tag League. So they've cashed in their title shot, but unfortunately fell to MVP. So Togi Makabe and Toru Yano successfully defend the IWGP Tag Team Championships. But then the main event was a rematch from the New Japan Cup final. Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Giant Bernard. 17.5 minutes. The next night, New Japan Fight for Existence 2, this time in Osaka. They drew 5,000. And this is when we see the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship on the line. And finally, I think this is the first one I've had a link for. Yeah, it is. Gosh. Okay, so you can see this one in the description. No Limits, Tetsuya Naito and Yujiro defending their championship against Gato and Jado. I found this one. I believe it should be from the Japanese YouTube. Yes, it is. So you can check this one out if you'd like. Kentaro Hoshino walks Naito and Yujiro to the ring. He's best known as the Great Yamada of the Yamada Brothers, a tag team in the 60s and 70s. Naito goes to work on Gato's left arm, but the veterans take the match over with their heelish tactics and keep Yujiro from tagging in while wearing Naito down. They even attack poor old Hoshino. It is about halfway through the match when Naito finally tags in Yujiro for the first time. He goes to work on both opponents, including very impressive pair of deadlift slams on Gedo. He attempts a moonsault, but Gedo gets his knees up and tags in Jado, Yujiro tagging out as well. Naito is recovered, but has his rebound forearm turned into a crossface, which has got him in some big trouble. Jado and Gedo try to double team him, but he manages to survive. Yujiro becomes involved again, and together they target Jado, who falls to the Stardust Press from Naito, and the champions retain. Big effort from Naito, who was in the match a long time and was doing a lot of selling and ends up picking up the pinfall. Very nice. That was the opener. There was a dark match, but that was basically the opener. And then there was Okada, Kanemoto, and Tiger Mask defeating Milano, Taichi, and Minoru. Riki Choshu, Inoue, and Nagata defeated Akira, Liger, and Chono. Legend, I think, have really kind of fallen off. They started pretty strong, and now I mostly see them taking pinfalls. And then Nakanishi and Yoshi teamed up again, Big Mountains, to go up against another of the teams in the G1 Tag League, Takashi Iisuka and Tomohiro Ishii, and Big Mountains get the win there in just over 11 minutes. The Junior Heavyweight title. This is also on, let me just double check. Yes, it is. That's the Japanese New Japan YouTube channel. If you want to see Loki defending against Ryusuke Taguchi, they tie up aggressively, and Loki breaks clean when asked at the beginning of the match. The chain wrestling that begins the match is really tight, though they do move through, or they move into a more pro wrestling version of it. It's I don't know, because Taichi, not Taguchi. Low-key is quite happy to be a bit shooty, but I guess maybe more with his kicks rather than the grappling. As the fight progresses, Loki dumps Taguchi out of the ring and slams him on the outside. The way Loki fights, holds, only to get suplex in a countered manner, is very good work. So as in, when Taguchi's got him in a hold and Loki tries to fight it, only to get suplexed. It was just at least a spot or two that really impressed me, the way they were trying to make it more realistic that way. Loki again shows himself to be a heel, trying to suplex Taguchi on the apron, but this time it backfires and Taguchi kicks him to the floor. He knocks Loki over the barricade and takes a breather. Then when he turns around, Ki hurls a chair at him, but he catches it. Taguchi catches it, only for Ki to follow up with a kick and gain back the advantage as they move into the ring again. Ki misses a stomp and a shining wizard. Taguchi turns that into the Dodon facebuster, but Ki smartly rolls out of the ring to buy himself some time. In his haste, when Taguchi rolls him back into the ring for a pin attempt, he's too close to the ropes and the pin's broken anyway. Taguchi tries going for his finish again, but Ki fights out of it, goes for the Ki Crusher off the top, but Taguchi pushes him off and he adjusts into a Frankensteiner instead. Ki follows up right away with the Ki Crusher, but Taguchi kicks out. Loki finishes him with a double foot stomp off the top turnbuckle, pinning Taguchi, retaining the title in a very well-worked match, worth checking out. And then Loki tells Tiger Mask that he's next after the championship presentation that happened in the ring after the match. He calls out Tiger Mask. Now, the tail end of the card continues the Rise versus GBH theme of the tour. Giant Bernard picked up a win over Hiroki Goto in nearly 14 minutes. Shinsuke Nakamura defeated Toru Yano in just over 13 minutes. And then Tanahashi, not with Rise, but kind of on their side, defeats Togi Makabe in 21 minutes in the main event. And that is a bit of a break for New Japan now, from the 7th of December to the 20th of December. New Japan only one night in Saitama. We had No Limits, Naito and Yujiro defeating Unione, Milano and Taichi, Oh, sorry, no, they didn't defeat him. It was a time limit draw, 20 minutes. Kanemoto Taguchi defeating Minoru and Yoshihashi. This is a bit of a nothing card. They had a 14-man battle royal on it, though. Nakanishi won, defeating Gedo, Jado, Okada, Kanemoto, Milano, Minoru, Yoshihashi, Taguchi, Taichi, Naito, Tiger Mask, Ishii, and Yujiro. In 8.5 minutes, he eliminated that many people. Okay. I mean, a bunch of them are juniors. You could probably pick them up 2 at a time, but fair enough. For some reason, Nagata faced Hirasawa, and I don't know, maybe he was pissed off at him for how badly he performed in the G1 Tag League, no doubt. So Nagata won there. Legend, well, I just had a go at him, didn't I? But Legend pick up a win. They had Tenzan on their side, though. They defeated Iizuka, Makabe, Honma, and Yano. Gee, that's a strong GBH unit. So, fair play to him. And then in the main event, Goto and Nakamura defeated Tanahashi and Inoue. Next up, we got a few more New Japan shows before the year ends. But I'm not going to go through all these matches. They were in Korakuen Hall. Akira defeated Honma. They had a bunch of singles matches, in fairness. Masato Tanaka defeated Hirasawa. Tiger Mask defeated Yoshihashi. Goto defeated Yujiro. Nakamura defeated Okada in 6 minutes. That one will come back to bite him, perhaps. Tanahashi defeated Naito in the main... No, not in the main event. The main event was a match we have on New Japan World. Sorry, not New Japan World. New Japan's YouTube channel. So a free one. And it was Kentaro Yoshino, the man we talked about earlier, coming to the ring with No Limit. He defeated Gedo. So yeah, once again, he's one of the Yamada brothers. It's kind of what he's best known for. He continued wrestling regularly, despite being more prominent in the 60s and 70s. Continued wrestling regularly into the early 90s until he moved into more of an office role with New Japan, and he has appeared irregularly from this point. This match was set up when I mentioned in that No Limit match, it was Gedo that attacked Hoshino at ringside. So this match takes place apparently 47 years to the day after Hoshino debuted. So I believe this is his retirement match here. We'll go through it. Gedo tries to jump him at the start, but Hoshino goes to work with punches to the head. He kicks Gedo out of the ring, and as unbelievable as it sounds, he dives off the top turnbuckle to the floor at 65 years old and lands on Gedo. So the fight continues on the outside. Gedo finally counters and takes control, drags the elderly man to the outskirts of the arena, throwing him into barricades and chairs, and even takes someone's umbrella and stabs at Yoshino's head with it. Some of the fans laugh at this, despite... some of them look concerned and some of them laugh at this disrespectful move from Gedo. And then he throws Yoshino down the stairs that enter the arena so that they are in the external walkway. Gedo slams Yoshino's head down into stands selling merchandise as fans and cameramen gather around. Gedo throws him into a vending machine as a man sheepishly retrieves his drink that he just bought from the same machine. And then they eventually re-enter the arena from the ring, and then into the ring where Yoshino, he's had basically no offense since leaving that ring, so I think he'd be happy to be back. Gedo stands on his head as a pin, and Tiger intentionally counts slowly. I mean, you often see after that kind of stuff, Red Shoes won't count at all. They would just say, no, I'm not counting. But Tiger counted, he just did it slowly. Hattori, that is. Tiger Hattori, the referee. The fans chant Hoshino's name, hoping he can mount some kind of a comeback, as unlikely as it seems. Gedo goes to the top rope for a splash, but Hoshino crawls away and the fans cheer. He makes it to his feet, only to be kicked back down. As if Gedo needed the help, he pulls out a chair from the audience and re-enters the ring with it. He goes to strike, but Hoshino darts out of the way and the chair bounces off the rope and hits Gato in the face. Yoshino kicks him in the balls and makes the cover, which Tiger's right on top of, leading to Hoshino winning his retirement match. And I guess Gato's really good. This was an entertaining match, despite how terrible it might sound, especially as it's not a not my style of match. But man, Gato does a fantastic job of covering for Yoshino's limits, and it's kind of a funny way to win. But I mean, it's a 65-year-old man in a fight with a pro fighter, in kayfabe here. So, that's the way it had to go. I liked it. There's a bit of afters as well included in the clip. So Yoshino addresses the press backstage and reflects emotionally on the match, on his career, I suppose. The main event on that show, though, was Tenkoji teaming up with Kanemoto and Nakanishi and Nagata to defeat a big GBH team of Jado, Iizuka, Makabe, Ishii, and Yano. On the 23rd, we had Chaos of Christmas in Korakuen Hall. Honma defeated Hirasawa. Minoru defeated Yoshihashi. Milano and Taichi defeated Okada and Taguchi. Tiger Mask defeated Akira. Kanemoto and Inoue defeated Iizuka and Tomohiro Ishii. Makabe and Yano defeated No Limit in a non-title match, of course. They're different weight divisions, but another win for the heavyweights over the juniors there. Tenkoji defeated Gato and Jado. And Goto and Nakamura with Tanahashi defeated Liger, Nakanishi, and Nagata. The final New Japan event of the year of 2008 was a premium show. Otani defeated Okada, Nakanishi defeated Ueda, Yoshi defeated Yoshihashi, Hidaka and Takaiwa defeated El Samurai and Milano, Sakamoto and Choshu defeated Kohei Sato and Namaguchi, Akira and Liger defeated Fujita and Ultimo Dragon, and Ukami Gundan, which is Hiro, Saito, Tenzan, and Chono, defeated the Complete Players, Gato, Jado, and Tanaka. So just a little New Japan Premium show there to round out the year. Some interesting matches in Ring of Honor's Final Battle 2008, though, on the 27th of December, taking place in New York City's Hammerstein Ballroom. The Ring of Honor World Title, held by Nigel McGuinness, was on the line against Naomichi Marufuji, the All Japan Junior Champion, and McGuinness was able to defend successfully there in 18 minutes. And then for a fight without honor, Bryan Danielson, I believe, he earlier in the year lost to Takashi Morishima, so he gets his win back in about 19 minutes. So there you go. Let's look ahead, I think, would be worth doing. Or you know what, let me see how much of a... instead of looking ahead, let's look back a little bit. I mean, 2008 was a big year. I already touched on the best feud, in my view, of the year was Tenzan and Tenzan versus GBH, or what it became Tenkoji versus GBH. That was, I think, the most exciting. Even though I don't like the matches necessarily, I mean, that's how you use those matches, those Iizuka matches with all the violence and all the interference. Like, I guess they were few and far between enough that I think I was enjoying it. And then, of course, one thing that a lot of companies fail to do is make the tag scene kind of seem as big a deal, and New Japan certainly are victims of this at times. The tag scene kind of being very much secondary to the singles scene, and I like how they turned it into a kind of a tag feud and really made that a a big deal going into the end of the year. Now, that increases both the stock of the baby faces there, Tenkoji, who just had a very successful year together, winning both those major tournaments across New Japan and All Japan. But also, I think it increased GBH's stead, who end the year stronger than they started it when they had Tenzan as a leader. They're by far the biggest heel faction in the company. They're a huge force and very much hated. I don't think anyone's kind of, I'm sure they have fans, but it's just they're really strong heels. They're getting booed. They can get baby faces over by facing GBH. Now, it's not always in the best way because they just cheat so much, it doesn't produce the best matches, I suppose, is what I would say. But yeah, I don't know. I think that was more interesting than the heavyweight title scene in a lot of ways. I mean, the battle between Tanahashi and Nakamura for ace of the company was interrupted by the former ace, Keiji Muto. So it's that is a bit interesting because it's certainly a rebuilding time for New Japan, and they really want to build those stars up. Tanahashi and Nakamura in particular. So that is an interesting twist here. But Muto's not having the same kind of quality matches that he was back in his day. So I think that's another reason why I kind of was more interested in the GBH feud. But all the stuff between All Japan and New Japan, and then the 0-1 stuff, that was the feud between Tanaka and Nagata is a fun one. Noah's been getting involved a little bit as well. So, I mean, yeah, there's interesting stuff going on interpromotionally as well. But I think if we were to have a most valuable player of the year, I think it's Tenzan. I think he had a big year. And that match they had, actually, when it was Tenzan and Iizuka, the one when Iizuka turned on him, that was such a great match, just from a storyline point of view. Like, that might be the match of the year. That's certainly the one I remember. That's the one that stands out to me. So, I would say it's a special match. Did I rate that match special? Because that was such a big angle. But I do remember there was a Nakamura Tanahashi match at the beginning of the year I really liked as well. So maybe that for the best singles match. I think the biggest pop and the best moment was probably Kojima returning. So we go back to that feud. Although I do remember the end of Nakamura and that Nakamura Tanahashi match being really hot as well. So yeah, all good stuff. But that's enough for this one. We don't need to do a Wrestle Kingdom preview. We'll get to that when we get to it. Thank you very much for listening to this one. Until next time, have a good one.